I have to be completely honest with you because the latest model runs just came in, and this forecast just got way worse. What was already a significant winter storm has now evolved into something I genuinely have not seen in a very long time. We are talking about a 1-2 punch of crippling ice and historic snowfall stretching from Texas and Oklahoma all the way to New England over 72 hours. Ice totals rivaling or exceeding the worst storms some of these communities have seen since 1994. Snow totals in the I-95 corridor making my jaw drop. And temperatures behind the storm so relentless and cold that even after the precipitation ends, the danger does not. Let me walk you through everything the latest guidance is showing because every detail here matters for your preparation. Let me start with the European model because it has been remarkably consistent across the last several runs, and I want to explain exactly what it is showing. The storm begins firing up across Oklahoma and Texas tomorrow afternoon and evening. At 4 a.m. Saturday, we are already looking at significant heavy icing across the Red River Valley, places like Lawton, Plano, Ada, and the Choctaw Nation area of southeastern Oklahoma. What is so striking about this system is how fast it goes from a modest-looking event to a massive storm. By Saturday at 7 p.m., ice and snow are still ongoing in Oklahoma, Texas, and Kansas, even as the heaviest precipitation has shifted east. Then moving into Sunday, the storm explodes in intensity across the mid-Atlantic and northeast. The European model has been handling this storm well, and I trust its solution. The GFS family is showing more sleet and less freezing rain in the southern corridor, and running slightly colder and further south with the heaviest snow and ice. Official sources are leaning somewhere between the two. We are still seeing some discrepancy, but getting closer to agreement. Plan for somewhere between the two solutions. Now, let me walk you through the timeline day by day because the timing of this storm determines who gets the worst impacts and when your preparations need to be completely finished. Saturday morning around 7 a.m., cold rain is breaking out across Dallas and snow is already falling in Oklahoma City. That is your opening act, and the storm is already running on a very aggressive schedule. By 7 p.m. Saturday, Nashville is getting hit with heavy icing. That is not a misprint. While Oklahoma City is still in the thick of heavy snow, Nashville is simultaneously under a serious and dangerous freezing rain event. That is how wide and how fast-moving the system is. At 1 a.m. Sunday, Cincinnati, Louisville, and Lexington, Kentucky are in all heavy snow. By 7 a.m. Sunday, Columbus, Ohio is getting in on the heaviest snow of the event. Then at 1 p.m. Sunday, Washington, D.C. and New York City are getting hammered simultaneously. And at 1 a.m. Monday, the storm is absolutely pounding New England with the coastal low running at full intensity. By Monday evening, this thing finally clears out. That is your timeline. Friday night through Monday evening. 3 full days. One massive multi-phase system leaving catastrophic ice, historic snow, and widespread destruction from the southern plains to the coast of Maine. Let me talk snow totals now because I know that is what a lot of you have been waiting for, and the numbers coming out of the national blend of models are genuinely striking. In Oklahoma City, it is very reasonable that many of you will measure over 11 inches of snow before this is done. Woodward, Oklahoma is looking at 12 inches. Wichita, Kansas could see 13 inches. Up near Joplin, Missouri, we might be looking at close to a foot. Bentonville, Arkansas has been in the sweet spot of this storm this whole time, and it looks like a foot of snow is very much on the table there. As you go further south, the totals decrease. Wichita Falls is looking at 3 to 6 inches. Dallas is looking at around 2 inches of snow, but that is going to be buried under a layer of sleet and freezing rain, and it is not going to feel like 2 inches of snow. Little Rock is in that same transition zone, mostly sleet and freezing rain with maybe 4 inches of snow possible at some point. Just north of that, in Jonesboro, we are talking about 7 inches. St. Louis is also in that 7-inch range, could be a little more or a little less. The bullseye for snow accumulation appears to be from Evansville, Indiana, through Lexington, Kentucky, and up toward Cincinnati, where widespread totals over 10 inches are expected. And a foot of snow is possible here and there, especially up toward Dayton, Columbus, and Wheeling, West Virginia. Eastern Kentucky is going to be in the transition zone with a lot of sleet and freezing rain cutting into snow totals, maybe 4 to 5 inches in the Pikeville and Somerset areas. Knoxville and Chattanooga are likely going to be warm-nosed enough to see mostly rain with some ice. Nashville totals are even lower than they were a couple of runs ago, and I want to be honest with you about that. The model's shifted south, and Nashville is getting squeezed. Maybe 5 inches in Clarksville, 8 inches in Bowling Green, and 3 inches in Memphis. Now moving east, Richmond is right on the transition line, 3 to 6 inches, with some sleet and freezing rain mixing in. And then we get to the part of this forecast that I genuinely cannot believe I'm saying out loud. Washington, Philadelphia, New York City, Boston. The national blend of models is showing 15 inches in Washington and Baltimore. Trenton and Philadelphia at 19 inches, New York City at 20 inches, Scranton at 17, Boston at 22 inches. Now, I want to be careful here because my gut is telling me these numbers may be somewhat overdone. The warm nose issue we keep seeing in the model runs could cut into totals for the DC to New York corridor if the warm air layer is deeper or more persistent than models are currently handling. But even if I discount these numbers by a meaningful amount, I think it is safe to say that there is a large and heavily populated corridor from Washington through Boston that is genuinely in the running for 12 to 18 inches of snow out of this event. That is a remarkable I-95 storm forecast and one of the more significant ones I have seen in quite a while. The storm could nudge just enough inland to shave totals for the big coastal cities, but as of right now, every single one of them is squarely in play for a major snowstorm. Now I need to spend serious time on the ice, because the ice story with this storm is what concerns me the most, and it should concern you the most too. Snow gets the headlines, ice kills the power and kills people. And this storm has an ice component that is genuinely one of the most serious I have described in a long time. In the corridor from northeast Louisiana up through south central Tennessee and into much of Mississippi, the national blend of models is showing over 3/4 of an inch of ice accumulation. I actually think the models are underdoing the totals here. I would not be surprised if a few locations in this corridor see a full inch of ice accumulation, which is an extraordinary and rare amount. Let me put that in perspective for you. A 1/4 inch of ice makes roads dangerous and starts bringing down small branches. A 1/2 inch of ice brings down significant tree limbs and starts causing widespread power outages that can last days. 3/4 of an inch to a full inch of ice is a different category of event entirely. It collapses power transmission lines under the weight, snaps mature trees at the trunk, and causes the kind of widespread infrastructure damage that takes weeks or even months to fully repair. Utility crews from multiple states have to be brought in just to begin making a dent in the restoration effort. That is the scale of what we could be dealing with in the Mississippi and Tennessee corridor if the current model guidance verifies. If this verifies for the Mississippi and Tennessee corridor, this will be the worst ice storm that area has seen since 1994. And here is what makes it even worse. Temperatures near 0 degrees are coming behind the storm for an extended period of time. If you lose power and heat in those conditions, with ice on the ground and temperatures staying below freezing for days, that is a genuinely life-threatening situation. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm telling you the truth. Please prepare for potentially more than 5 days without power if you are in this ice corridor. Generator fuel, water, non-perishable food, medications, extra blankets. If you're not prepared right now, you're running out of time. Further north and east, the secondary ice zone across Georgia, South Carolina, the Carolinas, and Virginia, east of the Appalachians, is also going to be significant and deserves serious attention. Cold air damming east of the Appalachian Mountains is going to trap a shallow but dense layer of cold surface air in place, even as warmer air aloft streams over it and produces precipitation that falls down through that cold layer and freezes on contact with surfaces. That is the mechanism behind freezing rain, and it is extremely efficient at producing ice accumulation when the cold air damming is well established, which it is going to be in this case.